Welcome. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aisha Siba. I'm a doctor of East Asian medicine in San Diego, California. I specialize in women's health, and I am here in this live today to answer a common question I've gotten during this blessed month of Ramadan, and that is fasting while breastfeeding. So I've prepared a little bit of notes here, just some insight that I wanted to share and some tips to help you out. All right, so we'll begin. Right now, we are well into Ramadan, which is the time of fasting where Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset, a little before sunrise to sunset. And moms want to know, can I fast while breastfeeding? And so Islamically, just so that you know, there is, it's not required to fast while you are nursing. Fortunately, there is mercy and leniency when it comes to the health of your body and your baby's body. And as my sister-in-law, she's a sheikha, her name is Muslima Permal. She said this beautifully. She said, when there is a rukhsa, which is basically an exception to the general law, then there is rahmah, which is mercy. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would pick the easiest of the two. So don't feel pressured to fast while you are nursing. It's not required. So I wanted to get that out of the way. The other thing is that especially if your baby is younger than 6 months of age, or even 8 months, and your baby is exclusively relying on your breast milk for nutrition, then you may want to avoid fasting because number one, it will be a lot more taxing on you as a new mom, or even a mom of a new baby. And also, the baby, you want to make sure that the milk that you're providing the baby is very nutritious. And you don't even actually have to worry too much about that either, because our bodies actually store excess fat when we're pregnant, specifically for use during the breastfeeding time, but still it can be pretty taxing on a mom. So I would recommend that if you are in that early stage of breastfeeding where baby is exclusively getting his or her nutrition from you, then you want to take it easy and not fast. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, for moms who do want to fast while breastfeeding, let's say your baby is past 1 year old, well into solids, and you feel pretty confident about it, then go for it. I think it's fine medically. There is some research that shows that there might be just a little bit of mineral deficiency in the breast milk, specifically magnesium, zinc, and potassium. So you want to be sure to include foods that are rich in those things in your diet. Examples would be your dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds have a good amount of zinc, and dates have a lot of potassium. Avocados have a lot of potassium. In fact, avocados have more potassium than bananas. So those are some examples. And they have monounsaturated fats, lots of fiber, satiating, all of that. So just get those things in your diet in iftar or suhoor time, and you will be fine. So let's see. Nursing can make you very hungry, and that's something to be careful about. I'm sure you moms can relate to this, that ravenous hunger that happens, especially after a long nursing session, or for those of you who are pumping, that ravenous hunger that can happen after a long pumping session. And that's because your body is really, metabolizing that stored fat, and it's something that requires a lot of energy. So you will feel hungry. And so what happens is that when we reach that state of having that strong hunger, we often want to reach for foods that provide quick energy, but that may not be as nutritious. And that could be anything that maybe like a more refined carbohydrate, or something that has a lot of sweet sugar, or even something that's very salty, but that doesn't have a lot of nutritional value. So you want to be careful about that. Kind of plan beforehand some foods, some good snacks that you can have that are much more nutritious. And that's more if you are eating throughout the day, but also if you are, nursing after, when it's the allotted time for you to eat. Just be careful about that. But something I want to mention to you is that hunger that you experience is usually short-lived, meaning it usually, very rarely, does that kind of hunger still occur after 3 or even 6 months of breastfeeding. So don't worry too much about that. When you are fasting, but you're past the year mark, you won't have those crazy hunger pangs that you used to get before when you were nursing your baby earlier on. And a lot of it has to do with the nutrient quality of that breast milk early on. It's actually a lot more nutritious. It takes a lot more from the mom's body. Whereas the composition of the breast milk later changes, and it still is nutritious, but it's more essential for those immune boosting components later on. I mean, it still is early, but the nutritional value isn't as much, so you don't get that kind of ravenous hunger, so you don't have to worry about that. How can you support yourself while nursing and fasting? The first thing is the most obvious, and probably something that you already know I'm going to say, and that is to stay hydrated. So I recommend that you have a water bottle dedicated just to you, so that you can measure how much water you're drinking, and fill that up and keep drinking from that. In terms of technique, follow the sunnah, which is the practice of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and sip your water. So take 3 sips and then take a break to breathe, 3 sips, and so on. Don't gulp and guzzle your water. You will not absorb the water as well as if you were to just sip your water. So remember that. You may notice sometimes if you drink a lot of water very quickly and you just have to go to the restroom, you're urinating it all out. Not all, but a lot of it. And so you don't want to do that. You want to optimize and use that water as a source of replenishment for you, not just going in and out. So sip your water. Another thing is to include, you can do this, it's optional, but include trace minerals in your water. I really like this. It's at home. It's not with me right now, but I'll share what it is and then show a picture. But it's Sun Warrior Liquid Light. And you just add a little bit of that to your water, and it has fulvic acid, but it also has many other trace minerals in there. And another thing you can add to your water is concentrace minerals. That's another thing you can just add a few drops of that in your water, or you can create a saturated solution of Himalayan salt water and add a tablespoon of that to your water. So the way you create that is basically you take Himalayan salt, like a rock or just salt, put it in your water, let it sit. If it's completely dissolved and the water is clear, do it again. Keep adding salt until you have the water on top, but you have a little bit of salt in the bottom. That's how you know you have a saturated solution. Keep that aside. Make sure there's no metal touching it. So to put it in a glass jar, maybe cover it with wood or porcelain or glass or something, and take a little bit of that and put that in your water, and that you'll have a very mineral-rich water source that you can be drinking. Another thing that you could do is, you guys know I love apple cider vinegar. You can add a little bit of that to your water, and it will make you feel a lot more hydrated as well. So that goes with hydration. So stay hydrated. Another thing is, another thing which is going against what I'm doing right now, and that is to limit speaking. So right now I'm talking a lot, and in my job I talk a lot at teaching and seeing patients, but you want to decrease that as much as you can, because when you are speaking, you're actually expending a lot of energy. In Chinese medicine, you're expending a lot of your lung qi, your lung energy. And our lung qi actually has a function in metabolizing water in the upper jiao, we say. So it helps us to metabolize water. And so if you're taxing your lung energy, then that's not good. So with that, let's say, so what I do, because I do talk a little bit more, is that I will practice breathing exercises. So just make sure that I'm taking good deep breaths, holding my breath, and then slowly exhaling out. And breathing exercises is something that I'll do another video for at another time, but moms, make sure that you are taking that time to just breathe. So all of that is with hydration. Okay, the next thing is to continue to take your multivitamin or your prenatal vitamin even after you've delivered your baby. So I ideally recommend that women take a prenatal vitamin about 6 months or so before they have their baby, or before they conceive, and then after, like a year after you conceive your baby. And then after that, you can just take a normal, multivitamin if you wish. But especially during this time, you want to make sure that you have that maximum nutrient support. And let's see, I have the one that I'm taking right now. I rotate through a few, but this is the one that I have in my purse, so that's why I'm showing it to you. But this one is called Ritual, and basically it is Ritual Essential for Women. It just has the bare minimum of what women need throughout the day. So I like that. I think it kind of goes with the Ramadan philosophy of, doing less, taking in less. So I like this. I also like that it doesn't make me feel nauseous, and I also like that it has like a pepperminty aftertaste. So I will take this after my iftar so I can feel a little bit more fresh, or I'll take it after my suhoor. And it's 2 a day, so I'll usually take 2 at once. I can't be bothered with taking 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. So that's something that I really have been liking. What else? So get your vitamin D levels checked. So vitamin D is essential. There's almost every single one of our cells rely on vitamin D. Vitamin D is helpful for all kinds of things like cell growth and immune modulation and our bone formation and all of these things. In fact, vitamin D is not even a vitamin, it is a hormone. And so vitamin D is crucial, and your baby will get vitamin D through your breast milk too. So make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal. And I would say maybe for most of the women here, your ideal range would be between 50 and 70 nanograms per milliliter. So get yourself tested. And if you do have a vitamin D deficiency, I recommend that you take vitamin D3 with K2, with vitamin K2. They are synergists. They work beautifully together. And vitamin K2 with vitamin D actually helps us to absorb calcium better. So it's a win-win. This is the one that I take. I just like showing you guys examples because people ask me for examples, and I like seeing examples when people talk about things. So it is drops of vitamin D3 and K2. You don't have to go with this brand. You can go with almost any brand, but look at the back. So the back of this, other ingredients are medium chain triglyceride oil, which is basically a derivative of coconut oil, so I'm fine with that, and mixed tocopherols, which is vitamin E, an antioxidant. So it's pretty clean. I like that. What else? So get your vitamin D tested. Vitamin D3 and K2 are both fat soluble, so you want to have it with a meal. And with Ramadan, that's easy to do because we only have 2 meals we're thinking about. So have it at your suhoor time or have it with your iftar time, and you'll talk with your doctor about what the best dosage will be for you and when to get retested to see how long you need to take it. All right. And get sunlight as much as you can, depending on where you are. Fortunately, I'm in Southern California, But even then, I was talking with my doctor about this actually last year, and she was like, even though we're in Southern California, people are in their cars, you know, people are still not getting adequate sunlight, and there's other issues that may be going on too with why we're so vitamin D deficient. There's some other theories with our gut microbiome, gut dysbiosis, and all these other things, but as far as we know now, just supplement with vitamin D if you're deficient. And as we move along with learning about, you know, medicine and everything, we'll know more reasons why people are vitamin D deficient. Especially if you cover, like I do, then you probably also are not getting as much sunlight too, because clothing is a really good physical sunscreen. So you want to be careful about that too. All right, and so I'm talking about some supplements here, but food is so important when it comes to our, you know, breast milk production, even more so than supplements and herbs. Supplements and herbs are there for additional support, but what we're eating is critical for everyday support and maintenance. So some foods that are really high, or that really help you to increase your breast milk production, include things like oatmeal, asparagus, alfalfa, ginger roots, your dark leafy greens, again, sweet potatoes, chickpeas. All these things are really good. Other things are like spices. So spices like cumin, fennel, anise, turmeric with black pepper. Turmeric and black pepper work well together. Those things will also support you. Let's see. I got a question. How can one tell if they are deficient in this? I take the supplement just in case. I'm assuming you're talking about vitamin D. You would get tested, so you would get a blood test, and you would get that done through your doctor. And if you are, I know that the current lab reference range for normal is 30 to 100 nanograms per milliliter, but your optimal range will be 50 to 70. So if you're below 50, then you might want to talk with your doctor about supplementing with vitamin D3, K2, and they'll let you know how much to take. Maintenance is usually like 1,000 to maybe 2,000 a day. If you're really deficient, your doctor might put you on vitamin D2, 50,000 IU, international units per week, and then retest you. The thing is that we don't really convert vitamin D2 very well into D3. So it's sometimes better to just go slow and steady and just take the active vitamin D3. But that's something that you would run through with your doctor and get retested to make sure that you don't have vitamin D toxicity, which can happen when we over-supplement, especially when we're over-supplementing with a fat-soluble vitamin. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, so some herbs. Let's talk about some herbs to help you with breast milk production. One that comes to mind and that I have here to show you is black sesame seeds. So black sesame seeds in the Chinese materia medica, it's called haigerma, and it's different from Nigella sativa black cumin seeds. So I'll show you the difference here. So I have here, I'll show you first, you guys know one of my favorite herbs in the world. It's also a sunnah food. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, he said that in this is a cure for everything except death. So how great is that? And if you look at the research for Nigella sativa, you'd be amazed to see how wide of a spectrum this herb is great for. And I talked about autophagy in the last live. This Nigella sativa actually helps with optimizing autophagy. So anyway, I wish you could smell it, but this is what it looks. Oops, I dropped some. But this is what it looks like. I'll even put some in my hand. It's hard to see, but it's basically, it's very, I'll clean this up later. It is more dense, it's very hard, and it has a distinct aroma. That's Nigella sativa. So I'm not talking about that for breast milk production. I'm talking about black sesame seeds. And they look like this. They're a lot, I guess, lighter in weight. They look exactly like your, blonde sesame seeds, but they are black. And they taste toasty, and they're wonderful. And so these black sesame seeds are really nice for breast milk production. They're used in Chinese medicine for many things, but they're in a lot of recipes for postpartum care, postpartum food therapy, along with another one I'm going to show you soon. But it also helps with blurry vision, dry eyes, which women can get postpartum because of blood deficiency or kidney deficiency. We say in Chinese medicine, kidney yin deficiency. So it helps to increase some of our natural fluids. It helps with constipation, which can happen with women postpartum, but any other time too. Some women experience that after their menses, so black sesame is great. It's traditionally included with walnuts in a porridge and some honey. So you can make it for yourself. You can drizzle black sesame seeds with walnuts in your oatmeal, put a little bit of honey if you would like. If you're worried about the blood sugar, then you can add some cinnamon to that and have that as your suhoor, and that will help you. Another thing that's really good, let's see. I got some questions. Oh, can these, yeah, so you can this is more food therapy as an herb. You can put it in drinks, meaning you can blend it in a smoothie, and that'll be good. Or you can add it to your oatmeal, your soups, your hummus. Like you can add it to so many things. Chickpeas are good for breast milk production too, so that would be. It's nice to mix a few ingredients together. All right, the next one, spirulina, was what I was going to talk about. I have it in this supplement right here, in tablet form. So you can see that. Just the green tablet. It's an algae. It's very high in gamma-linoleic acid. It's also high in antioxidants and many trace minerals again. So you want to make sure that it's from a good source. You want to call the company, ask them, make sure that they test for heavy metal toxicity and things with these, especially spirulina, but with all of your herbs in general. So Gaia Herbs, I like them. I think they're a pretty legit company, and they do third-party testing. So that's really nice. It's something that a midwife I worked with for a couple years, she loved offering spirulina to her ladies to help with breast milk support, but also with like postpartum blood deficiency. But she would recommend it even after, if there was a mother who came in at the 18-month mark, and she was like, I still don't want to stop nursing my baby, even though she was getting pressure from her family and stuff to stop. And she was like, I feel like just emotionally from all the stress and everything, my breast milk production is going down. And so she recommended spirulina and a few other things, and it actually really helped her. She recommended spirulina and dates, actually, so it's pretty cool. So let's see. Oh, and also spirulina is high in iron. I guess that's how it also helps with the blood deficiency. So there we go with spirulina. Another thing, okay, red jujube dates. I love this herb. This is a Chinese medicine herb as well. And let me show you what it looks like. So there are so many different types of dates. It's not just the mejdul dates, I guess, that you see at Trader Joe's, or the dates that we see at the mosque and things, or there are so many different types of dates. So here's one, and they're red like this. It's called datzao in Chinese medicine, and or hongzao, and they're so beautiful. These are dried up, so you would include these in like a tea or in a recipe of your choice. You can boil it in water and use that water in all sorts of recipes. I like to boil this in water with astragalus root. It's good for immunity and just overall nourishing, especially for women after your period. It's really good. But it's also very good for increasing your breast milk production. So I love jujube. It's also high in B vitamins, which we need big time when we're nursing. So that's really good. It's high in vitamin C, which is really good for your skin, but also just really good immune boosting thing to have. And let's see. Oh, something else actually about jujube. I wonder if this has it in it. Hold on. So this is one. So in Chinese medicine and in other herbal medical systems, you don't just use one part of the plant. You use like the whole plant oftentimes. And sometimes the root might be poisonous, but the flower is not, or whatever. But in this case, we use the jujube. I'm pretty sure it's pitted. Let me just see. Okay. Oh no, I found a seed. Yay! Okay. So the inside of the jujube, the seed, it's called swan sao ren. And I'm creating a mess here, but just to show you. The seed of jujube, swan sao ren, I'll have to show you a picture in the recording once I edit this, hopefully. It is amazing for sleep disorders and anxiety. So oftentimes we'll hear from moms that, you know, you're nursing your baby and nursing your baby at night. I had one mom tell me that from her experience, she has 4 kids, but when she's fasting after the baby's around 1 year old, her baby will suddenly nurse so much at night, even though her baby was not nursing much at night before. And, you know, we talked about that, but it, you know, was causing her some issues with sleep. She's like, I'm developing insomnia even after I nurse my baby. I cannot go back to sleep for the life of me, and I want to support my breast milk and all of that. So she started taking the seeds of these jujube, red jujube dates, swan sao ren is what they're called, or Ziziphus spinosum. And she felt like it really, really helped her with going back to sleep quickly and with just that anxiety that she would get with nursing her baby at night. So the seed and the fruit are great for moms, for nursing mommies. Okay. What else am I going to talk about? Okay, another herb, fenugreek. I'm sure most of you guys know about fenugreek. It's like often the first thing that's recommended to women. And fenugreek is nice. It does have a blood sugar lowering effect. So women who have gestational diabetes and they're still on medication after they've delivered their baby, then you want to be careful because it can bring down your blood sugar. So you want to make sure you get your sugars tested often and, you know, just keep that in check. It can make you and your baby smell sweet, which for some people they don't mind, and for some people they don't like the smell at all. For some moms have reported anecdotally that it can make their babies have a little bit more of a digestive upset, and some moms say, no, not at all, this works beautifully for me. So see what works for you. I've personally loved using fenugreek. The thing with fenugreek is that it needs to be used consistently. It has more of like an accumulative build-up effect. So include it in multiple recipes, have it in a tea or something. I have this, which is fenugreek and blessed thistle. The only thing I don't like about this is that it has sugar. It has 9 grams of sugar. So if this is going to be like, you know, the only added sugar thing you have, then that's fine. It tastes really nice. And you can add it to anything, your smoothies or whatever, or just have it by itself. It's really nice. And it also has beet root and carrot. So, and those are good foods for breast milk production. So that's fenugreek for you. Another one, moringa. I really like this one. Moringa and shatavari are both Ayurvedic herbs. Moringa is said in Ayurvedic medicine to cure 300 different diseases. So it's a way of saying that it's good for a lot of things. I usually would take it in just this form, or you can take it in a powder form and add it to your smoothies. It's really high in vitamin C as well, and high in a lot of trace minerals and things. So you can't smell it, so why am I opening it? But yeah, that's moringa for you. I like the brand MotherLove. I think they're really great. Okay, and shatavari. I don't have that one with me right now. That's another Ayurvedic herb, and so it helps to increase the vital fluids of the body, and so breast milk is considered a vital fluid. It also helps with women who have amenorrhea, meaning they're not menstruating. So it can help with that, like just any kind of vital fluid in the body. Just think about that for shatavari. Another one is goat's rue. Goat's rue is specifically good because it acts on the mammary glands themselves, but it's more so good for women who have had breast surgery, or they naturally have very small breasts and have what's called insufficient mammary tissue. So for them, this goat's rue is really good. And then there's like mother's milk tea that you see on the market. Some people swear by them, some people say they don't work at all, so it depends on you again. I really like the traditional medicinals, mother's milk. I think it's great. It has marshmallow root, it has fennel seed, it has anise in it, so I like that one. And it has coriander. Another thing that people like is red raspberry leaf, which you take towards the end of your third trimester to help with uterine contractions. It's a uterine tonic. In terms of breast milk production, I think it's helpful, but more so in the beginning stages. One more thing, sunflower lecithin. Sunflower lecithin is good to help with preventing plugged ducts. That's more an issue in the beginning, the first few months, but it can also be an issue if you are significantly decreasing the amount of time that meaning time slots that you're breastfeeding your baby, or when you're going through the weaning phase. So sunflower lecithin helps to kind of moisturize and make your breast milk kind of slippery in a way that it won't plug your ducts as much. So that's a good one. Another thing I would recommend is to nurse frequently and keep baby close. Usually when you are past a year, your frequency has decreased significantly, especially if baby is well into solids. So just while you're fasting, try to maybe throw in 1 or 2 extra nursing sessions here and there. Again, you're not going to get that ravenous hunger that you did in the beginning. And if you do, then just try to increase your caloric intake around iftar time or suhoor time. And yeah, I think that is what I had to share for the most part. Oh, things to avoid. So there's all these things of like herbs that you should be avoiding because they actually bring down milk production, or they help with moms who are trying to wean their babies off of breast milk. So what I found is that you need to be taking these things at super high doses for them to really have that kind of effect on you, so don't worry too much about it. But things like parsley, which is a pretty strong diuretic, you can have a little bit of parsley here and there if it's like part of a dish, but try to avoid things like tabbouleh because it's practically like 90% parsley. And then you want to not have so much peppermint, spearmint teas, sage. You want to decrease that a little bit, and oregano. So for me, nursing was such a journey for me. It didn't come easy, but alhamdulillah, thank God, it did. We picked up and we're fine. We were fine and we're fine now. But there was a point when I was pumping so much while trying to nurse and pumping, and I think I was overdoing it. So then I had an oversupply issue, which is not fun at all. If any of you moms have been through that, that's like, we usually think about increasing breast milk production, and that was my main concern, was just the more the better. But then when you get to the opposite end where you're producing too much, that's not good either. So I actually saw a lactation consultant, and she's like, you're producing for like twins or triplets, what are you doing? And so I told her my schedule and what I'm taking, and she's like, you're overdoing it. And I think it has to do with just that trauma in the beginning of having difficulty with nursing. So I was so worried about my supply going away. But I started to take some sage tea, and it actually helped to bring it down. So it does work, but I took a lot. I tend to do things to more of an extreme, I guess, but I started to drink a lot of the sage tea and it helped. But if you are trying to nurse while fasting and you're not in that weaning time, then try to avoid these things. So sage, oregano, parsley, and peppermint, spearmint, things like that. But if you have a little bit here and there, don't worry about it. Like right now, breast milk supply is pretty good. It's like normal. where I need it to be, thank God. But I will still have peppermint tea here every now and then, and it has no negative effect. I'm Algerian, like I can't live without my peppermint tea. So I'll have a little bit of that and it's fine. Or I'll like have peppermint tea and mix in some of the red jujube dates in there, and it helps a lot to mitigate that potential negative effect. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. I just wanted to talk about fasting and how to support yourself if you are fasting and breastfeeding. This is for the month of Ramadan, but also for any of you who are practicing any kind of intermittent fasting or even extended fasting. You're going for 24 hours, even 3 days of fasting. Some people do that. Then you can use some of these things for when you are, when some things to support you from before you fast to when you break your fast. And I know some people who do those longer extended fasts, you can still have teas. So try to incorporate some of these teas in your fast if you are, as long as you're not doing clean fasting where it's only water. And even if you are doing only water, at least include your trace minerals in there. So I hope that was helpful. I see Good Tree Homeschool that you listed all my favorite teas. I know. I hear you. But if you have them like sporadically here and there, you'll be fine. And try to include some of those other things in there. So you can have maybe if you really, really like your mint tea, then you can have a tablespoon of these black sesame seeds with some honey, have it with your porridge or something, and you'll be fine. Just try to counteract those potential negative effects, but hopefully it won't affect you too much. I'm so glad that this was very helpful. I'm so glad that I was able to address this topic. I know it's like near and dear to so many of your hearts, including my own, being in that phase right now. So hopefully I will have this recording available at some point when I get around to it. But for those of you who caught it now or who catch it in the 24-hour replay, I'm so happy that you're here joining me to share this information with you. Huda, is coffee good? Ooh, okay. So let's get into this. It really depends on the person, and it depends on the kind of coffee that you're taking. If you're taking like a really strong, caffeinated coffee or something, be careful. Actually, now that you bring that up, Huda, I have this coffee that I carry with me if I'm going to have coffee. It's a mushroom coffee. And I never feel the jitters or anything with it. It has cordyceps and chaga in there, which are really good to help give you the right kind of energy, like not the jittery energy, but they're kidney tonics in Chinese medicine. And women, especially in our postpartum phase, we tend to have more kidney deficiency, so it helps with that. But I personally avoid coffee throughout Ramadan. For me, I usually would have coffee during the day. So in Ramadan, you're not eating during the day, so I avoid it. I think coffee has a lot of benefit. I'm sure some people are gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I really think that there's some good research to show that coffee has some positive effects. It has really good polyphenols in there, antioxidants, and I think it's a good thing. Now, I do have some ladies who they'll have coffee and they say, even if I have decaf coffee, I get the jitters, or I get, really loose stools and things like that. So avoid it. Specific to breastfeeding, I would recommend maybe limiting it. I think you can have 200 milligrams a day or something, like 12 ounces of coffee a day, and be safe while breastfeeding. I did not have coffee for about 4 months. And then after that, I would have like a cup of coffee every now and then. And then I went back to having coffee like every other day around the 8-month period. And it never seemed to affect baby. And my mom, actually, she loves coffee. And she was like, I had coffee all the time throughout pregnancy and while breastfeeding you, and it was no problem. And she's like, when you have more than one kid too, you'll see you're gonna have more coffee. So So yeah, I think it's really case by case, depends on the person. I do believe that what you eat can get transferred to your baby, so you want to be careful about that. Keep it something that's really light and not too caffeinated, because caffeine is a drug too. So just like you don't want to have too much sugar, you don't want to have too much caffeine, but you can have a little bit. So it depends on the person, but really good question. All right, take care. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.